Hello, welcome to Inspiring Women with ADHD. This is Renee Allen. Happy New Year to you. I am here for just a bit. I'm in the room that my son's staying in, which is the room I usually do my podcast in. So hopefully it doesn't come home while I'm making this episode. But it's New Year's Eve. I'm going to release this tomorrow. I don't think anybody will listen tonight. I'll release it tomorrow morning, and whether you get a chance on New Year's Day or later in the week. I want to start the year off talking about goals. Some people love setting goals. Some people resist setting goals. Some people, and this may be you, get excited about making goals because it's a new year, just like a Monday. Monday's a great day to start a new goal or make a new plan because there's a sense of hope, a new beginning. And this year, this is what I want to work on, or this is what I want to do. And that can be a great thing. As much as people like to say, don't set New Year's resolutions. No one ever keeps them. The latest statistic I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, is 8% of New Year's resolutions actually come to be. And I wonder if that's for all year or for 1 month or, become a habit that becomes part of your life. It probably means to be a habit. And I've seen this at the gym because I teach yoga classes. And it's kind of funny to see your classes double in size in January. In the first couple weeks, everyone's there. And you see your familiar faces and you see all these new people, and how fabulous to have these new people coming in, setting their goals. And a couple years ago, I had a Tuesday, Thursday evening class, and the Tuesday class for some reason was more consistent, had a bigger number than the Thursday. Maybe some people could only go once a week or something, but in January, both the Tuesday and Thursday classes, instead of 20, 25 people, or sometimes the Thursday would be a little bit lower, both classes would have 30, 40 people in it. And toward like the end of the month, like the third week, I said, "Are you still going to be here in February?" And they kind of laughed. And a lot of them weren't. A lot of them didn't even get to February because it's hard to have that consistency. It's fun to set the goals. It's fun to ride the momentum of the new, exciting, I've got my energy up for this, I can do this. But having it become a part of your life is another thing. It's possible. It's totally possible. I've seen it happen with me in my life, going from somebody who didn't exercise, especially in the mornings. But when I first started exercising consistently, it was in the evenings. And that was even a big thing. And then I switched to mornings, which I thought would be impossible, but it wasn't. And it went on and on and on for 28 years. The last 2 years haven't been as great in the mornings because I teach yoga in the morning. So I'm trying to find my time. And that is one of my goals for January, is find your new time and be consistent with it, because it does work a lot better if the time of day has the same pattern, or the pattern has the same flow with the time of day. It doesn't always have to be that, but at least, the beginning, having a schedule can be helpful with consistency. At the same time, for every story I have, and the exercise thing wasn't a New Year's goal. It was, I don't know. One time I became really consistent about not eating sugar when I'd been trying to do that for a long time, health wise. Right after Halloween, I just had it with how much sugar I ate, and I became very consistent with that for a couple years. But I'm not anymore. Some goals we can evaluate and decide if we want to keep them anymore or not, if we want to change focus, the focus. But back to the New Year's resolution. If you feel pressure to set one, I hope you don't. If you feel pressure to set one, like you really need to make some change, that probably isn't helpful in making lasting change. So try to take the pressure off And if you really just want to look at January as another month, you can. It is another month. But for some reason, it does have that new hope. It does have that excitement of, can I do something a little better? Can I accomplish something that I've been wanting to do? Can I do it now? Or be more consistent, whether it's health wise. Health seems to be a big thing, maybe because we tend to eat a lot of sugar. I say we, but a lot of people do over the holidays. There are a few reasons why New Year's resolutions are kind of set up to flop. And that is because often we have this idea that it's got to be this grand, huge, big goal. And the larger the goal is, especially if it's long term, it's harder to make that shift, to make that big shift from what you haven't been doing to what you want to be doing. And having it be out there for, I'm going to do this for a whole year, maybe putting pressure on yourself that just makes you want to break out under that pressure. I've done this more times than I can count with dieting, changing my eating, eating more healthy. And that's setting that goal, saying, I'm going to do this for the next 3 months. And usually I'd set it to some event that was coming up that I wanted to lose weight for. And often the pressure of it, and knowing that it was going to be 3 months, and knowing that the scale wasn't moving, or knowing whatever that was in that kind of prison of thought patterns that I was in with dieting for so many years. It really was obsessive and it wasn't fun. But that pressure just was so overwhelming that all I wanted to do is break free. It wasn't so much that I wanted to not eat the way that I was set up to do. I mean, maybe it was a little challenging to do, but it wasn't that as much as sometimes you just want to relieve the pressure. And making smaller goals, making smaller term goals. I'm going to do this in January. In January, I'm going to focus on showing more gratitude to my family, my friends, and people I hardly know. Maybe that's a big goal because that could be a lot for someone. But just getting more into that gratitude mindset. And each week you make a tiny change. I'll send out a thank you card to anybody who gave me a gift over the holidays. Anything like that. Or it could just be I send a card to one person, or I send a text. It could be as small, as little as you want to make some move toward being that person that you hope you can be or would like to be and realistically could be. Because if it is so lofty that it's not going to happen, for years I wanted longer feet. That wasn't going to happen. I just thought Princess Diana's feet and how tall she was, I just thought that was so pretty when I was growing up, or, high school, college, whatever. Are my feet going to get longer? No. And am I going to get taller with longer legs? No. So why did I obsess over that? I didn't set a goal for it, but I honestly think that when I was working out or eating in a new way, I had that mindset of, I can look like that person, which is not reachable. And that might be a little extreme, although you might be nodding your head saying, yeah, I can totally relate to that. Wishing or thinking or setting your goal with something in mind when it's really not going to happen. So having those big goals, those unrealistic goals, cross those off your list. And even if you're working towards something like, I want to be healthier, some things we can control and some things we can't. So what could we do to work toward being healthy? And maybe just adopt one small part of that and see if you can implement that in your life for a week or a month or 2 months or 3 months, and then add something onto it. But those tiny steps are really important. Those 1% changes do lead to greater change, and they're far more possible and doable. Another reason why resolutions or lofty goals, any goal might not work with women with ADHD too, especially as we often have a problem with perfectionism. Other people do too. I swear, I feel like I have to have that clause in there. Other people do because, I, when I talk to my friends and relatives who have ADHD, who do not have ADHD, not who have ADHD, the ones who do not have ADHD, 1 out of 3 of them make that comment. Well, other people deal with that too. True, other people deal with perfectionism. That's that's the way I want to say that back to him, but I don't say it back to him like that. But yes, that's true. But this is also part of ADHD that has many other symptoms and dysfunctions of the brain that add up to be defined as ADHD, whereas somebody else might have 1 or 2 of them. But yeah, I imagine if you've had conversations with non ADHD people, you've heard something similar. So, perfectionism. That is something that we can recognize and maybe work with. But the best thing to do is not have a goal that requires such an all or nothing result, an all or nothing mindset. I need to make this to this point. I need to achieve this to this point. That can be really, really helpful so that you're not trying to achieve the perfection of it. If you do have a history or any experience with setting goals, setting resolutions for changing your eating, or even being consistent with exercise, and you have a perfection mindset of I'm going to work out this many minutes, this many days, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to get in the car, I'm going to do that. And you catch a cold or you have an injury, even pull a muscle or strain something while exercising, been there, done that. And you can't go into the gym the next day. You can't get up and do the exercise that you have set out to do. You're 5 days a week, you're 6 days a week, an hour a day, or 45 minutes, whatever it is. And you've been checking it off your little tracker, which is super great that you've been doing that. But if you have that goal that it has to be this 100%, you may not be thinking all or nothing, but that's what we often do when we have that perfectionism brain, that all or nothing mindset is, well, I didn't complete that goal. I didn't fulfill that goal. So whether it's because losing the momentum of not doing it, which is easy to do, or just thinking, I didn't get my 30 workouts this month that I had planned to do. So forget that, and then the next month you don't go to the gym. And I don't know if that's what happens to the gym goers when they go in January and then don't show up in February. Maybe they do get injured. Maybe some of them move and I need to give them a little bit of a break with that. But I've done that a lot, even with changing my eating and setting goals with that and thinking, okay, this is how I'm going to eat now. And I'm going to plan out this and I'm going to make this in advance, or I'm going to stop eating that, or whatever it is, or stop eating at this time at night. And if I am not consistent with it, oh, somebody invited us for dinner. Well, we have to do that. Well, I guess that wasn't a very good goal, and you throw it away. And I learned several years ago that it was super helpful to give myself, I could even just give myself another percentage if I wanted, a 90% rule. And I didn't I didn't find it as helpful to have a cheat day because I tended to way overeat on that day, or just, I don't know, do things that interfered with my goals. But the 90% or the 80% was just kind of a ballpark in my mind that if you're going for the 100, that's what you're trying to do. But if there's a week or there's a time that it's 80 or 90, that's okay, and work toward the 100 again, or just kind of cruise at 92 or whatever it is. And that is still fantastic. So adjusting there if you need to. And consistency, yeah, that can be a hard thing with ADHD when you have a day where the overwhelm is huge, where you went to bed and you wanted to do that thing first thing in the morning. You're going to get up and do whatever you had on your mind the night before that sounded like such a good idea. And if you could have stayed up late enough, if you weren't so tired, your brain wanted to get it done, or your family was asleep and it would be too noisy for you to be doing it, or you really do need more sleep. All those reasons that sometimes at night you could have gotten that done. But the next morning you wake up and you are in a new space. Your brain is in a new space and it's having a problem. Think of some stairs. I don't know if you ever go to the beach and they've gotten those wooden plank stairs, but here in Florida, after we moved here, there was a hurricane closer to Miami, and we went to the beach that Christmas in St. Augustine. I don't know if you're familiar with St. Augustine, but it is the oldest city in the United States. We learned that when we moved here, and it's somewhere near Jacksonville. I think it's a little south. I don't know my Florida map very well, but I think it's a little bit south of Jacksonville. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, we went there at Christmas time, saw the lights, went to the beach in the daytime, and the wooden steps were wiped out by the hurricane, but parts of them were there. And I picture us as women with this brain that can get overwhelmed by simple things, that can have that overwhelm paralysis. So we've got the paralysis by analysis, we've got the perfection paralysis, we've got a lot of things that can make it so we're not moving towards something that we really want to do or that really does need to be done. And thinking of those stairs, that if you had those wooden planks and you're at the beach and you're just walking up, that is the neurotypical brain that doesn't deal with this problem that can cause the overwhelm. And you just walk up the stairs. But there are times, and they can be more frequent than not, or when you're unmedicated or not taking a certain supplement or tea or whatever it is that's helpful for you, or you are doing all those things and it just shows up, or your task is too big or whatever, but you wake up the next day, you thought you could do it, and you're walking around the edges of the step, or you're at the bottom one and you're looking at 4 empty spaces of torn stairs and you can't step on them and you can't jump up, and you're watching other people just and make their way up and you can't. So that can be a challenge for women with ADHD when you have difficulty with consistency, the executive function or dysfunction, the time blindness of starting something else. It could even not be the overwhelm. It could be time blindness. I didn't think I had that, but I've been noticing it lately. I've been noticing mostly when other people are around because they're more aware and I'm not like, we need to leave. I know, and then that sort of thing. But anyway, but even that time blindness can make it so you're not able to be consistent with getting something done. You may not make it to a fitness class because you were doing something else that morning that you didn't think would take very long. So it could be tough to stick with daily habits. Is it impossible? No, but there might be that 8% of the time or that 12% of the time or something that gets in the way of that consistency. And another thing that can make it hard is we often need more of a short-term gratification to achieve something quicker. And some goals take time. And I had a goal once of being more patient. So some goals can be, actually something you can kind of check off, and other things are, can I change? Do I see something in myself that I wish was better, and can I change it? And that was something that I worked on. I don't know, it felt like for a few months. I made a goal to try to be more patient, and I did pray for help, but there was a lot of evidence that I wasn't making improvement. This is when my kids were little, and I just reacted. I wasn't mean or awful or anything, but I reacted in a way that I wished could be calmer or be a slower reaction. And because because I didn't give up on it, and because I continued to make an effort and be aware and not expect overnight success, over week success, even in a month. It really was kind of like if you've ever tried to lose weight and you are making all these efforts. And I don't know, maybe people don't try to lose weight as much. I mean, I think they do, but I know my daughters and the younger generations are, how do I say it? Um, they don't want that to be the focus. And I don't have it be the focus anymore either. I've come a long way with that. But for some people, it does need to be an effort if it's interfering with health and that sort of thing. But back to this, that's a hard one when you need immediate gratification. It sounds like the Tom Sawyer movie. Do you know the old Tom Sawyer movie? I think there's like a gratifaction song. Anyway, you're not going to get the result right away. And so you have to focus on something else to be able to be happy, being consistent with it. Your focus might be, can I get stronger when I do lunges, or that I don't get sore when I do this? You focus on other aspects, whether it's can I go for a walk with a friend every day and have fun doing that? And maybe start walking up hills more and not get as winded. You focus on the little things in the journey. And what I've found when because I've lost and gained weight a lot in my life, usually like within a 30-pound range, maybe sometimes 40. But anyway, when I have had the best long-term results, it's when I have made the efforts in the little ways and not focused on the result as much, not looked at, am I achieving, am I getting the reward of fitting in these pants, which used to be a big thing. Like I could just fit in these jeans again. We didn't have the stretch pants back then, the yoga pants and stuff. But if I could just fit in these, or if I could just, whatever that goal was, and I'd try them on it, or measure myself or weigh myself or whatever. And when I learned to not do those things, not weigh myself, if I did weigh or measure, maybe do it every 2 weeks or something, sometimes I got in the way and it would discourage me. So it wasn't helpful. But it was like the patience thing. It'd be all of a sudden 3 months later, I think, oh, these pants are baggy, or 2 months later, or whatever it was, this fits different. Or somebody else would say something like, oh, have you made any changes? And I think, oh yeah, I've been doing this a long time. Nobody noticed then, but but that now they are. And that is a very long-term result. It takes a while sometimes, and not having that immediate result in a time where we can just get on our computer and get any answer, or we have things on our mind and we try to act on them right away. I think with ADHD, we often do that, not because it's important, but just to get it out of our minds. That's where writing things down, having a journal just to write things down, to do later, your do later list, or however you want to do it. I've got a do later list freebie if you ever want that to print out and kind of write through those things. It's pretty good to do, but you could do it with a notebook too. But anything that you can do to get things out of your mind, most of the time we think we need to do them now to get them out of our minds, but it's impossible. So you go from room to room in the house doing all those things that come up in your mind, and then nothing gets done. And it can be the story of your life sometimes, right? So, oh my goodness, so many aspects to ADHD. And just some strategies here. So how do we set goals? If we want to achieve something new, if we want a new pattern in our lives to help our lives go more smoothly, or to achieve a goal that's important to us, what would we do? Setting a very small goal. A very small goal, like not even like I'm going to drink more water. Drinking more water is important, unless you're already drinking a ton of water. But for the most part, we could all benefit by drinking more water. And if you make a simple goal, like I'm going to drink a glass of water every morning when I wake up. And if you can't drink the whole thing in one, sometimes when I wake up, I'm thirsty, so I'll drink water, but I can't drink a whole glass or a whole water bottle full, because it's kind of like, oh, I'm not used to that. Then maybe I do something else for a second, come back, or for a minute or 5 minutes, come back, drink some more. And you keep it so specific and so tangible and so easy to measure. Maybe you fill up a water bottle the night before you go to bed. We're really good at prepping things. Women with ADHD, we like to do things that we've done over and over that are simple and easy and mindless. And filling up a water bottle is one of those. So if you put out a reminder, you put out your water bottle at some point in the day, or clean it after, you've used it, or you have another one, rotating it, have it out, fill it up when you see it, put it in your bathroom so you'll see it when you wake up. And the first thing when you wake up, drink from your water bottle. And if you think, well, that's going to overwhelm me to have one of those giant ones that tells me this is what I need to drink all day long, or fill up, however many. Some people do that. Like, this is how much I need to drink. My friend who was a fitness coach used to say, you drink half of your body weight in ounces of water. I don't know how valid that is, but for me, that was no problem at all. And when I exercised, I needed way more than that. So gauging your body too, when you're thirsty, drink water. When you're not quite thirsty, drink water. Or you're about to eat, drink water. And you probably could use some. But making the goal small and specific, and just having that one goal. If you really want to have more than one goal, you can, but that is achievable. And then focusing on something that you can measure that day. Like, instead of losing weight, I'm going to eat some vegetables every day. If you want to measure it, you could say, I'm going to eat 3 vegetables a day, or 3 servings of vegetables, or I'm going to make a green smoothie. That's my favorite way to get vegetables, is soup or smoothies, because you can just throw them in, blend them up, and call it good. And if they're frozen, even better, because then you don't buy them at the store, put them in the fridge and forget about them, and they go rotten. But yeah, or get overwhelmed. Like, I don't want to cook that, but most of the time I've forgotten. I hate to see how many I've thrown away in my life. It's a shame, crying shame. But another thing is visual reminders, Post-it notes. We're good at that. Alarms on our phones, or a beautiful checklist, or a beautiful sign on the door. Or I was on, I don't know if you go on the ADHD for women with ADHD, something like that, Reddit group, sub, whatever you call it. And there was a discussion a couple of days ago about, don't buy the planner for 2025 and think that's going to solve all your problems. Because it is wonderful when you have ADHD to think of a new system that is going to help you. And maybe it didn't help last year, but it's sure going to help this year. And I've done that too. But at the same time, I don't know. I think there's positivity in being hopeful. Maybe not spending a lot of money on things, but if you think it can work in some way or help you, even if it helps for just a month, I think it's worth it. So if you want to have fun buying a new planner, I stopped buying a planner for a while because I'd always lose it. And then I bought one, and I really just didn't use the weak parts, just the month at a glance. And I thought, is that worth it? Because I have one on the wall that I see all the time. But a few years ago, I started buying it again because it did give me a feeling of a fresh start at the beginning of the year. And it's something I could bring with me somewhere. And I've gotten into the habit of taking it with me to church. And then I open it up at church and look at each week. We'll just look at the week coming. And I think because things are quiet there, my brain can just relax, and I can think, what's going to happen this week? What do I need to do? What do I have coming up? And maybe that's not what I'm supposed to be thinking about at church, but it does. It gives me an opportunity without my brain being other places. And I take it back home and I do look at it from time to time. So whatever you enjoy, it's kind of like, does it spark joy? Is it a method that you think is pretty? I like the covers of my planners, but whatever you like doing, if it's your tradition for the new year to get a new calendar, a planner, even if you're not making a lot of use of it, see if it works for you. I bought a chalkboard, a big chalkboard that you can use those chalk markers to write things that I need to do each day. And it's turned into more of a thing that my grandchildren like to write on, and I need to make a habit. I don't know. I need to look at that again and see if I can use it in the way that I intended, but it sounded so wonderful. And it took a lot of time to research and buy and put up on the wall. And yeah, but yeah, any visual reminders that can be colorful or nice, and any reminders that you could do, like I mentioned, if you fill up your water bottle and having it in a place that you'll grab it and go. I usually have one. We have a table that's kind of on our way out to the garage, and most of the time, if I put my water bottle there on that corner, especially if I put my backpack that I'm going to take for yoga or whatever other purse I'm going to have, if I have it next to that, I'll remember. If it's on its own, there's a good chance I might forget. But any reminder to a routine of I'm going to do this, then that, once you do that, the visual reminder will help. And then eventually your brain will just want to do it. Even if you have a book that you've been wanting to read or learn something about, that you could listen to on audio. I don't want to ruin your phone or anything, but I do this with my phone where I'll listen while I take a shower. I like to multitask. I get bored taking a shower. But I started doing that. And now when I go in to take the shower, I think, where's my phone? Because what am I going to listen to? And if I have a book that I'm trying to read, it's really helpful because I have that little habit. The shower may not take very long. You might do that in your car. You might put up your phone, put the charging cable in, and turn on Audible before you drive, or whatever you listen to, or podcasts. You could listen to my podcast or anyone else's. But those habits, when they're connected to now I'm sitting in the car, I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to walk in the shower. You do have to have a place where you can put your phone where it won't get wet and not slip and fall. So I don't want to ruin your phone at all. Or you can hook it up to a speaker for sure too. Or maybe you want your shower to be, just a peaceful experience, hearing the water and not something digitized. And I understand that. I get that. So any this, then that, visual reminders or patterns that you set up, eventually your brain's going to remember. And it really helps with having a system, a schedule, or just accomplishing things that are important to you. And if you can, another thing that's really helpful when you're working toward a goal is celebrating tiny wins. Even if you just look in the mirror and smile, like, can you believe it? I did that. I did that. Or just feel kind of happy. Anything that kind of gives you some little dopamine. It could be, telling a friend, I just did this, or doing a little dance, or whatever it is that can help you because it gives you a little more momentum. It gives you a little excitement to it. Have you heard of the victory arm position where you just bring up your arms like you're making a Y shape with your body? And that's what we do. And we say, yay. You can just look in the mirror and say, yay to yourself, whatever it is. You might have something that you do every time you complete a little goal or have accomplished something that you set out to do. Celebrate those wins because they're important. And then also, giving yourself flexibility, grace, because we have to adapt. Not always, these words come out wrong sometimes, but our plans don't always go as we'd like them to. Days don't always go as we'd like. And it's easy to get attached to the outcome, not just the did I reach this goal, but to the outcome of did I achieve what I needed to today? And when you have other people in your life, you want to prioritize the things that you need to do. But if things come up that make it so it's not possible to, you need to be able to shift, adapt, and let go of the good feeling of getting that done right then or right away or that day, just because sometimes you just have to do something different, and that's okay. And even just resetting your goal mid-month, mid-week, instead of waiting till the next January, if you see something needs to be tweaked, if you need some flexibility with it along with that grace, Maybe you see, okay, I was planning to do this, but maybe this is a little bit too much, or it's actually going in a direction that's not exactly where I wanted to go. And you are the person who gets to decide. You don't have to stay completely attached to that first goal. And I even had to have the little picture in my head of there's no, exercise police coming and knocking in my door and said, you were going to do this 90-day rotation. And these are the workouts that were written down. I used to set up all these rotations of you're going to do this kind of workout. And then the next week, you're going to change it to this. And I thought, no one is doing that. It's okay if you change your mind. It's okay. Just giving yourself that grace and making the goals as doable for yourself, as possible for yourself as you can. So it's almost New Year's tomorrow for me. If you're listening today or the next, you're already there. You're in the future. And I'm still back, not back in the future, back in the past. But yeah, whatever little step you want to take, any tiny little goal, something new you want to add to your day, your schedule, your health and wellness, make it as small, manageable as possible. And feel free to share it with me. I have a website. If you haven't found it yet, it's renee-allen.com. There is a spot. Instead of saying contact at the top, I just wrote Renee, but you can send me a message there. You can also sign up for my newsletter, and I do respond to people when they write to me on there. I send tips each week and just sometimes videos, and just talk about different strategies and things that we can do to help ourselves in our lives. And it's just nice to be connected and hear from other women. I appreciate those who have written to me because it just helps to feel connected. It really, really does. Feel free to share with me any goals that you have for 2025. I have some, but I haven't written them down yet. And some of them have to do with this podcast. I want to have an overall theme each month. And I just haven't spelled all that. I've started, but I haven't completed it because I went down about 3 or 4 rabbit holes as I was doing it, looking for that new shiny planner, not really a planner, but a new digital platform to be able to organize those thoughts. And I finally found it, but I had to get set up on it and choose the colors and then change the photo as the profile pic and all those things that can make it so I don't accomplish what I wanted to do. But if you do sign up to be on my email list, I will send those themes for you. I'll kind of share with you what I have planned as I finish it up in the next few days. And I'm just excited. I'm excited for the new year because this podcast is new for me. It's something I know I mentioned 1,000 times that I have felt driven to do for several years, but I finally did it this year. I finally did it. That was like one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. It was a giant leap for me. I don't know how it worked out, but it did. It really did help that I had consistency, a little bit of consistency, but some accountability with a friend who helped me do this with her course. So yeah, anyone that you can have in your life to help with that. And I can be that for you too. If you need some accountability help, I'm going to set up some platforms for that, but I'm happy to do that by email in my early stages of this before the rest is set up. Blah, 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 blah. But thank you so much for being here. I'm glad you're listening. I'm glad you're out there, and happy New Year 2025. And goodbye to this year. It was a good year. Had some challenges for sure, but overall a good year. So take care. Bye.
Open windows, broken shadows. Frozen dreams are left for tomorrow. Without a cause. No time for a pause. sense of sound has yet been found, but not by me.